Welcome to Pick Up and Deliver, the podcast where I pick up my audio recorder as I head out from the library and deliver an episode to while I walk home. I'm Brendan Riley. Well, good morning, listeners. It is Tuesday, November 23rd. I'm recording this as my second episode on my walk today. I'll be releasing it tomorrow, Wednesday, November 24th. So I'll take this opportunity to say Happy Thanksgiving. I hope that your day turns out pleasant and wondrous and that you have a good time with your family. If I have an opportunity, I'll record another episode tomorrow. I was thinking about a Thanksgiving theme and I just came up with one. But I haven't planned it out yet and I don't want to do it off the cuff. So I'm going to stick with my original plan and I'll record that tomorrow maybe. So there might be 3 episodes this week. We'll see. It's lovely weather. At the library, I just got 2 totally fluff books like absolute brain mush, but pleasant because they're books. So I got Lawrence Block, who writes these sort of light, fun murder mysteries. He's got the Bernie Rodenbar series and he's got the Hitman series. At the end of the 4th book, he left the Hitman life and retired. But when times get tough, he goes back into hitting. And this one is called Hit Me. And it's just another series of Hitman stories. I'm looking forward to it. They're always enjoyable. And then I also got, it's been at least 10 years, maybe 15. I don't know if I've read any since we moved to Illinois. But I used to really enjoy the MC Beaton Hamish Macbeth series, Death of a Something, Death of a Dustman, Death of a whatever. They're all the same. But they're super enjoyable. They're really fun, and I haven't read one in a long time. So I got one from the library. They usually take about 3 hours to read. So I'm sure I'll read it over the break. And I thought it'd be fun to have with me. So there it is. Those are the books I got from the library. But this is not a book podcast. This is a board game podcast. And I have played some new games, and that means it's time for Shooting from the Hip Triple Shot. So with November being a very busy month, I have not played very many new games. Normally, by this point in the month, I would have done 2 or sometimes 3 Shooting from the Hip episodes where I talk about new games I've played. And this is the first that I really could do. But it's going to be fun anyway. So the 3 games I'm going to talk about today are going to go from very light to kind of light to heavy. So the first one, very light, is a classic CGE game from very versatile designer Vlada Chvátil, and this is Bunny Bunny Moose Moose. In Bunny Bunny Moose Moose, you are doing your best to arrange your hands so that you match the best combination of antlers and ears as displayed on the table. The way it works is you have a group of players up to, I think, 6 or 7 sitting on one side of the table, and then it's 6. So you have five players on one side of the table and 1 hunter on the other. And the hunter has a poem they read. It's like 4 lines long, and you can read it fairly quickly. And the idea is, as you're reading it, in the first half of each line of the poem, you pick up a card and look at it, and in the second half of the line of the poem, you slap it down. And what you're doing is you're making a line. It's a poem of 6 lines, because you're making a line of 6 cards. And when you get to the end of the 6th, then you start the poem over again, and you keep laying down cards in these 6 piles until you get to a hunter card, at which point you say, bang, and you slap the card down, and everyone has to freeze. Now on the cards, there are pictures of bunnies and moose, and the bunnies and moose have their antlers in positions either up or down and spread out, or like the moose have their antlers either up or down and spread out or tight. And then the bunnies have their ears up or down and on the back of their head or on the side of their head. So as a player, you have to choose, are you a bunny or a moose? So you're either doing ears or antlers. And then you have to, if you're a bunny, you have to put your ears at the side of your head or the back of your head. And you're doing this with your hands. And you can mix and match. So you could have one ear on the side of your head and one ear on the top of your head. Okay, you get it. And the way the game is scored, each card has a different picture of a bunny or a moose and says positives or negatives for matching that bunny. And so what you're trying to do is read the combination of cards and figure out which bunny makes the most sense to match. It is hilarious, very silly, really fun, and just a treat to play. If you get a chance to play Bunny Bunny Moose Moose, really enjoy it. I recommend. That's Bunny Bunny Moose Moose from Czech Games Edition, or CGE, designed by Vlada Chvátil. The second game I want to talk about today is Blueprints. Blueprints was published by Z-Man Games, and I think it's from 2014 or 2015. It's been around a long time, but it's still in print. Like, you can go and get Blueprints at your game store right now. So it's a game that they've kept around. It's a relatively simple, I wouldn't call it party game. It's a relatively simple filler game in which you play architects, I guess, building buildings to match the blueprints that you've been given. The game is played over 3 rounds, and your goal is to build 3 buildings, and you score your 3 buildings. You score each building separately, and you win prizes and contracts based on how your building scored. And those prizes and contracts end up being the way that you get points. So this is one of the things that was unclear to me from my first read of the rules that I actually think was a major flaw with the game, is that the points you're scoring, because they use the same word for the score you get for your building each round and the number of points that a card is worth when you win the card. So, like, here's an example. In the game, you could make a building that's worth a certain number of points, and you get points for matching the blueprint that you've been given, and then for the arrangement of building materials that you used to create the building. So, for instance, if you were to build your building entirely out of recycled materials, which is green dice, then you get a particular arrangement of points based on the fact that you used the green dice. So they scale up in points. The orange dice score for how things are next to them. There's clear dice and black dice as well. Each kind of die scores slightly differently. And then you score if you matched your diagram. And then, so you get points for all of that. And the highest scoring building gets the 3-point card, and the next highest scoring building gets the 2-point card. And then there are 4 awards each round as well. One is for the building that if a building reached 5 cubes high, you get an award. If you used 6 different numbered dice, you get an award. If you used 4 of the same numbered dice, you get an award. Or if you used, I can't remember what the 4th one is. There's 4 different ways that you could get an award on top of getting the best building. And so those awards also are worth, I think, 2 points each. So in a given round, you could get 2 points, 3 points, 2 points, or 1 point, or 0 points for your building. And then you can win these awards. At the end of the game, the only points that matter are the points that you have on the award cards that you won. But they still call the way that they rate the buildings points. So that's a little confusing, and ultimately made our first game kind of a wash. We didn't really understand what was going on until we reached the end of the first round, and we're like, wait, so what do we do with these points? And then we figure out, like, oh, these cards are the actual points, and these other ones, they shouldn't call them points, both points. Anyway, that's a game by Yves Tourigny, and it's pretty good. I think it'll stay in the collection a little while at least. I don't know if it'll be a long-term keeper because it's fine, but I don't know if it's going to be a game where, like, oh man, what I really feel like is a game of blueprints. I think it's a nice game to play. I don't think it's going to stick. But that's Blueprints from Z-Man Games. The last game I want to talk about today is Bonfire from Stefan Feld and Pegasus Spiel. So Stefan Feld, of course, you know who that is. He is one of the premier Euro designers in board games. He's particularly well known for games that have lots of different ways to score points, and Bonfire is no different. Although I will say that Bonfire is not like Carpe Diem. In Carpe Diem, there are literally lots of different ways to score points. You score points for completing these contracts. You score points for your houses. Actually, those are kind of the two things. In Bonfire, anyway, sorry, the diversion into Carpe Diem did not help my short review of Bonfire. In Bonfire, narratively, you are gnomes trying to light these bonfires to get the guardians of the bonfires to come back. It doesn't really matter. It's a point engine. It does remind me a lot of Aquasphere, however, in that there are a variety of different things you have to do in order to keep the system moving, and you get points for many of the different things you're doing, but you kind of have to do all of them at least a little bit in order to get the system moving. So there are these path tiles, and you can get up to 7 path tiles. And then there are these portal tiles, and you can get up to 7 portal tiles. And the thing is, the portal tiles move from the right to the left on your player board, and the path tiles move from your left to your right. And in order to get the bonus points for moving your guardians, you have to have the path tiles and the portal tiles meet. So you need at least 4 of one and 3 of the other to have any of them meet. And the real jackpot would be to get like 6 and 6. So you have a bunch of them meeting. And then you have these guardians that you're getting by sailing this boat around, and you have these tiles that you're getting, and the tiles let you do things. You have these tasks that you're picking up, which are the things that make the guardians love you. And when you complete the tasks, then you get to put a guy on a thing, and you get another thing, and it's all very combo-tastic and fun. The reason I say it feels a little bit like Aquasphere is it has these action tiles, and you can only take an action when you have the action tiles to spend. So sort of like Aquasphere, you can only do a thing when you can move your robot into the right segment on the little robot chart thing. Bonfire has that same limitation. There's a bunch of little mini games that you're trying to complete in terms of getting different things. There are in-game bonuses that you can get from these blue cards. There are end-game scoring that you get from the yellow cards, and there's a limit to how many cards total you can have. So if you take too many blue cards, then you can't get any yellow cards. If you take too many yellow cards and you didn't have the blue cards that help you do better, you get it. I thought it was really fun. I think it's going to be a great play it occasionally game. I don't see it as a game I would really want to play all the time. I think it's probably a game that's really fun if everybody knows how to play already. I had a really good time the first time, and so did all the other people I played with. But we all kind of went, oh, now we get it. We should play it again. And that will be the sort of where the rubber hits the road. Yeah, really interesting game. Lots of fun. Happy to play it. Happy to play it again. Might pick up the expansion if I find it at a decent price. I don't know that I'll seek it out. So that's Bonfire from Stefan Feld. And I believe Pegasus Spiel is the publisher. Well, thanks for joining me on my walk today. I'm curious to know, what have you been playing lately? Have you had a chance to try any new games? What are you going to take with you for Thanksgiving if you're going to Thanksgiving? Head over to Board Game Geek Guild 3269 and join the conversation there. A nod of thanks to the couple people who reached out when I hadn't posted a show in a while and said, hey, we'd love to hear a show. It's nice to hear from you, and I appreciate the nudge. Yeah, so thanks for listening, and I hope that you have a lovely Thanksgiving. Talk to you later. Oops, that's not talk to you later. Thanks for joining me on my walk today. I hope your next walk is as pleasant as mine was. Bye-bye. Light, fun murder books, murder mysteries. He's got the Bernie Rodenbar series, and he's got the Matt Keller series, but the series or Matt Keller series. The series I like best, though, are the Hitman series. Keller is the name of the Hitman. Scudder is the other one. Keller is the Hitman.
Brought to you by Rattlebox Games.